and welcome to Blackwood N Gauge layout, and this is the first update for 2024. And what I can report to you is that I have actually now completed all the track laying on this side of the layout that the camera's pointed at. This was the bit of the layout that I decided to completely rebuild. It has taken me 4 months to get to this stage, so I started in October lifting obviously the scenery and the tracks etc, and de-wiring the layout on this side of the layout, and just at the end of January, just a couple of weeks ago or a week or so ago, I actually managed to complete all the track laying. The last video that I did was in early December, and the outer tracks were relayed, and as were the loops that come through the station here. The track was laid up to about this point here, but I've now actually completed laying the track in, and there has been a slight change to Blackwood Station, in that Blackwood Station has actually gained an extra platform, an extra bay platform. On the old layout, or the old design for this section, there was the hint that there was a redundant track underneath this bridge. It wasn't connected to anything, but what I've actually done is I've actually built the actual, or reinstated the track. So this platform here will get rebuilt. One thing I don't think I told you, the last time that I did the update, all of this scenery along here, none of it's actually stuck down. It was never ever actually put down with glue or anything, so it actually all comes out. All these platforms just actually lift out. There's actually no destruction required. This platform here, this end section, will need to get rebuilt because there's a slight curve there. I'm going to continue the platform under the road bridge, and it will just come to an end here at the end. This line here, this bay platform, is long enough to take a 2-car DMU. So as I say, the station now has an extra bay platform. Also, as you can see, the Pendolino, because the Pendolino is probably the most temperamental bit of rolling stock I have, it's a great way of testing as to whether or not my track laying skills are up to much. So Pendolino is running quite smoothly. I shouldn't say that. I did have the Pendolino running for about 10 minutes before I started filming, and as soon as I turned my back it decided to derail. But it's touch wood, it has been running absolutely fine for the last 10 or 15 minutes. So that's the first bit. As I say, the last bit of tracks lead into the station. Blackwood has now gained an extra bay platform, and what I'll now do is we'll turn the camera around, because the last bit that was to be done was actually reconnecting into the fiddlework yard. So I'll show you what's happened on that part. Okay, so I've turned the camera around. We are now pointing at the fiddle yard as the Pendolino runs through lane 1 of the fiddle yard. Towards the back end of the summer, I did rationalise this fiddle yard to make it a bit more simple. I removed a lot of the points, especially at the far end. There wasn't much of a change. There was virtually no change at this end here at all, but obviously one of the ideas of rebuilding this section was to give me a better entrance into the fiddle yard. Now the camera's actually sitting on a tripod, it's actually just over the entrance, but there is now a far more realistic curve coming off the main circuits and then coming into the actual fiddle yard. So obviously these tracks here have been straightened out somewhat. The old fiddle yard slanted down this way, but the tracks are now more, if you like, streamlined. Lane 1, that is exactly the same size as it was before. It will actually hold the Pendolino that's just actually going through the lane right now. Lane 2 is fractionally longer, as is this track here, lane 3. Similarly, this track here, which is a siding, that is now longer because it used to take the 4-car Voyager, just and no more, but now it takes it without any problem at all. Again, we've got a terminal track here which was there in the old layout, and these other tracks at the bottom, again, they've been straightened out, they're joined on. One other change I have made is that I've actually added an extra track in, an extra passing loop. This track here was in actual fact had been disconnected and it was being used as a siding. This has actually now been reconnected in, so it gives me an extra storage. Well, it's not a storage yard, it's actually the through track for the bottom end of the fiddle yard. But the other thing you will see is that all the points here are now long radius. There are no short radius or small radius points in the fiddle yard at all. All the points have been cleared out. There is one curved point which is just at the start of the fiddle yard, just where the pendulum's just come through, and that's really to allow the tracks to bend round to come into these bottom yards or storage yards. So yep, so that's all track laying done. Obviously at the moment the track is under test, it's obviously being wired up. The point motors are all on, but they're not wired back to control panel. And talking of the control panel, if I turn the camera around a little bit, you'll see there is a brand new control panel currently being built, or being wired I should say. All the switches have been put in. The holes that you see are actually for the LEDs. These are the small LEDs which will actually sit in there to give me the indication as to what way the points are set. That will be the last thing to be done. And the other good bit of news, well, not good news, but what I have been able to do is if I actually come down, there are two, I think if you can maybe point out there, in fact there I am, there are two temporary panels here. These were put in years ago. They were only ever designed to be temporary panels, but in actual fact these will go. So all the isolating sections that are currently in these temporary panels will transfer over. These are all the switches for the isolating sections. There's 11 of them. They'll transfer from here. There's also point control for the outside loops, which has again been transferred from the panel, the faraway panel, and this is now in actual fact working. This has been wired up live, and if I open the box, you can start to see the wiring that's obviously starting to appear. And for Mr. Ireland, there isn't a single bit of wire joined in here marked, so please take note of that. And that's basically what I've been doing for the last 2 months, finishing off the track laying. It's all complete, and now the next stage is obviously wiring everything up. Started in that. It's going to probably take me another 5 or 6 weeks to wire this up, and obviously everything's under test just now. Touch wood, everything's been going reasonably well, but obviously once I'm satisfied that everything electrically is working, then we'll start on the fun stuff, and that's ballasting. I know some people hate ballasting, I don't mind ballasting. Track painting, again, find that very therapeutic. And once that's done, we'll then start to build in the scenery to make this whole scene believable and not just some track on some baseboards. So what we'll do is, as we've got trains here, we'll actually do some a bit of a running session, and I will catch you all hopefully very, very soon. I have been putting up YouTube shorts, so I know some of you have caught those, so some of you will have seen the progress in those shorts, but obviously this is really more a verbal update just to let you know the progress on the layout. One last thing is Model Rail Scotland takes place later this month. I will be going to it on the Friday, so I know a couple of people who I will probably meet up with, a couple of YouTubers and a few other people, but if you want to meet up, leave a note in the comments, or you can contact me via email. The email is on the further information on the YouTube site. So I'll leave you with the Pendolino running, and then we'll get some other trains running, and I'll catch you all very, very soon.